Alright, let's play a couple Blitz games here, and maybe do some analysis afterwards, and I'll set it with an increment. I often just play 3-minute Blitz, but I don't want any, super crazy time scrambles. I always want there to be at least a little bit of time, especially because I often fall behind as I commentate. So let's see how this goes. I'll play e4, and here we go. Okay, a Caro-Kann. I played that myself with black, so let's see how this goes. I kind of have my choice here of which line I want to go for. I think I'll go for the classical variation with knight d2. Black should take on e4. Okay, I take back. And now black could play bishop f5, knight f6, or knight d7. This is the main move. And now the main idea here is to gain a tempo here by attacking the bishop. Knight g3, bishop g6, and h4, threatening h5. Black often plays here h6, and now comes knight f3. And knight e5 is kind of annoying for black, so knight d7 is the main move. Now comes h5, just solidifying my space advantage on the king side. And now I'll trade off that strong light bishop. I play this line for both colors. I've played this, hundreds of times. And this is pretty much the main line. And now white has a choice here. You can play bishop f4 or bishop d2. I'm just going to play bishop d2. Bishop f4 allows queen a5 check. And then if you play c3, it's hard to castle long, because a2 would be hanging. So I'm going to go for bishop d2 and probably trying to castle long. Okay, knight f6, that's one of the main moves. Castles. So far we're still in theory. And black kind of has a big choice here. Does black want to castle short or castle long? Both are playable. So knight e4, getting out of the way of the g-pawn, because if black castles short, I might want to play g4, g5. Okay, so here's a very interesting position. And again, I play this with both colors too. This is all still theory for both sides for me. So queen e2 is a better square for the queen, but then black can play queen d5, threatening a2 and threatening to trade queens. So I like here queen d3 just because it stops queen d5. And some players fall for that. I won a nice game against 2300 in a big international tournament with queen d5, c4, queen e4, and then queen b3. That's the point of having the queen on d3. But castles here is the main move, and now g4. Very common pawn sacrifice in the Caro-Kann. Black accepts it, rook g1. And taking's very dangerous. It's possible, but white could consider queen e3, followed by queen takes h6. I think I analyzed this out, and black can actually hold on here. This is a very, very sharp line. I think queen e3 is the best try here for white, but let's see how this goes. So queen e3, you take on d1, I take on h6, you play bishop f6, and then I'm trying to remember my preparation after that. This is all still theory. So we'll see how this goes. I think black can't really bail out of it now. I mean, the knight's attacked, h6 is attacked, so black has nothing better than, knight takes. Now queen takes h6. Yeah, bishop f6. And now I'm trying to remember what I analyzed after this. So... okay, taking on g7 doesn't work. I wonder if we were supposed to play bishop takes h6, and maybe e3 wasn't the best square for the queen. I'm trying to remember how this worked. I know this is like a big, super sharp theoretical line. Maybe bishop f4, bishop e5. It just feels slow, but what's black going to do in the meantime? I kind of feel like we don't want to waste time grabbing the knight even. But I'm trying to kind of prove that to myself. So the black king can't move. Black has no good way to break this pin. You can't really play g6 either. So I'm going to go for this, and then I want to analyze this after the game. Now, do I have to worry here about bishop takes d4? Let's clear these arrows. On bishop f4, I guess I can't clear the arrows like that in a real game. On bishop f4, if you take on d4, there I would have maybe just knight e5? And you can't really... well, no, then you have queen f6, don't you? No, I have queen takes f6. Okay, let's just go for this. And I want to do some analysis here after the game, because this is a very interesting, fun line. So the threat is bishop e5, followed by rook takes g7 with checkmate. And what does black do? You can't really move the king, you can't move the g-pawn, you can't move the bishop, you can't move the queen, because the queen's watching over the bishop. So, despite the fact that black is up a rook, this seems very hard to play for black. And that's why a lot of players don't go for this line. Okay, you want to evacuate the king. Interesting. Is that going to work, though? So bishop e5, if you play king f8, I feel like rook takes has to still be pretty strong. I'm just trying to calculate everything out, but it's tough. Can we also here play, I was going to say rook takes right now, followed by bishop e5? I don't know, but I have to do something. Bishop e5, okay. And now if king f8, I'm just trying to calculate all my options there. Rook takes g7 was my first thought. Now we're not really threatening anything concrete, though, are we? Which is kind of frustrating. Nonetheless, let's go for it. So if you take, we're going to at least win the queen, because we have bishop f6 if you try to run away. And then we can pick up the knight, too. The knight's still loose. But what are we actually threatening here? I guess we're threatening right now bishop takes f6, which should win, right? Hitting the queen, cutting off the king, threatening queen h8. So black has to do something about this threat. I'm trying to see what their options are. So if you take on g7, and we take back with the queen, and you run to e7, what do we have there? Okay, interesting. Well, this gives us the queen. We can take with check, then take the queen. And I think this is just totally winning for us now. I'm just trying to calculate, do we even take on f7 first? Okay, and black resigns. Yeah, that was a very interesting interesting situation there. So this is all theory. g4. Let's actually go to the analysis board. So let's turn on self-analysis first, just so I can show you what I'm talking about. So g4, this position's been played before. This has been played several times. This is a well-known kind of position. And after knight takes g4, rook g1, most players here play f5. That's the main move there for black, trying to shut white down on the g-file. Taking on f2 is considered very greedy, but I'm trying to remember all the preparation here and if this is actually so great for white. So on queen e3, knight takes d1, queen takes h6, bishop f6, bishop f4. I felt like black had some kind of answer here. I'm actually going to just turn on the engine. Yeah, bishop takes d4 might be a refutation of this line, isn't it? And then my idea was knight e5. What does black actually do on knight e5? I'm kind of curious. Aha, there's bishop takes b2. And is there really a follow-up here? And now bishop takes e5, really? Oh, and the problem is you have queen b6 now. Okay, wow. Yeah, that's a very, very crazy line. Certainly if black's not prepared to go for that, it'd be very hard to find that over the board. To grab the b2 pawn with tempo, then come back, and then white doesn't have time to checkmate you because of queen b6. Very, very cool. So I'm wondering what the right answer is, actually, after knight takes f2. If I remember correctly, this actually, yeah, queen e2. I think this is wrong. I know I analyzed this out to a draw with a much better engine than the chess.com engine. But yeah, I think queen e3 can be refuted by that idea. Bishop takes b2. I just forgot my preparation. So yeah, queen e2, here, takes, and then h6, I think is the critical line. And I analyzed this out. I think black has sufficient drawing resources. I'm actually just going to check real quick with an engine just to see what it thinks. Yeah, it finds this draw with queen f6, rook takes g7, king h8, knight g5. And white can get a draw here, but nothing more. And the game should be a draw. I remember at one point I was trying to look for an improvement on this line for white, or maybe something else to play in this kind of juncture of the Caro-Kann around move 15, just because I didn't fully like that this or that black could be greedy and take on f2 when there's actually no forced win for white, and it looks like the main line leads to a forced draw. But in a real game, it's very risky to play this for black unless you're very well prepared. Okay, let's play one more. Let's play one more and see how it goes. Here we go. Another 3-2. Alright, we get the black pieces. Great. So, let's see a Caro-Kann with black. Same opening twice. Let's see what white goes for. Will they go for the classical as well, or will they play something else? Okay, we get the exchange variation. And they can either go for the Panov or just play it straight up as an exchange variation. Okay, I don't really know much about this line. I don't think it's so good for white. To me, it doesn't make too much sense to put the bishop on b5 here. Knight e5 could be an idea. I'm actually just going to play knight f6. And against knight e5, I could play queen b6 or something. Here, I think I could get away with moving the bishop outside the pawn chain. You just have to be afraid of like white's ideas to play queen a4 and then knight e5. Like if I play bishop g4 here, the question is what happens on queen a4? Right? How do I actually defend this knight? Because if I play queen b6, now you just have knight e5. So I'm wondering if I should just play... I'm going to play queen b6 right away. Because this bishop's loose. I'm going to make it commit to a decision right now. Okay, and I get the bishop pair. So that's pretty nice for me. Now there's no more pressure, and I can probably just play bishop g4, although now I can't, of course, after knight e5. So let's just play bishop f5 and be ready to play like rook c8 if we have to defend this pawn, if white plays queen a4. Always good to be aware of kind of where your pawn weaknesses are, and looking for all your opponent's checks, captures, and threats that could possibly try to exploit them. So e6. I think the bishop could also come to a6 maybe in this line. Maybe you should have considered that as well. But let's just make sure everything is defended. And I think white doesn't have a great way to intensify the pressure here, and black has a very comfortable position. After I castle, I can probably even play for the c5 pawn break and start trying to tear down white's center there. Still doing all right on the clock, 2:25. Okay, and that's a reasonable approach here from white to try to start a fight before I'm ready. They're castled, I'm not. So taking on d4 here certainly seems too risky after knight takes c6 or something. Is c5 a real threat? Maybe. I mean, it's kind of annoying that I can't play c5 and then c6 is a weakness for the long term. It also stops bishop d6 for now, which is also kind of annoying. So how do I want to handle this? I feel like taking on c4 might be wrong, just because knight takes c4 and then long-term pressure on the c-file, but then again, it does isolate the white d4 pawn. So I kind of have a big choice right now to take on c4 or not to take on c4. And it's blitz, so I can't think too long, so I'm just going to play bishop e7 and get castled as soon as possible. I think that's probably the best approach. Okay, and you do go for c5. Okay, I guess queen b7, just staying on the open file, stopping any bishop development. Although I guess white could go for it, because if I take on b2, you take on c6, right? I just want to get castled, and then I'll have to think about how I want to play from there. d4 could be a target, but it's kind of hard to get to, huh? Alright, we got castled. Okay, knight b3. Not too sure where the knight's going. Oh, okay, it's going to a5. Always good to ask for your opponent's ideas. So that's actually pretty annoying. You see how white creates a weakness, and now their whole plan is based around bearing down on that weakness. Very instructive there. So I'm thinking maybe bishop d8 has to be played, and that's kind of a move I want to play anyway, because the bishop might be nice on c7 at some point. So I don't fully mind just this, and if you want to play knight a5 and force me to give up the bishop, I guess I might have to. Okay, so if you take, I could even take with the g-pawn. In lines where this bishop gets out, I don't fully mind wrecking the pawns, because I can always drop back to g6, and it's kind of, more consolidated. Let's play bishop c7. You can't successfully take on c6, because we have bishop takes h2 stuff. So let's play this, remove the pin to this knight, make sure we can still meet knight a5 with taking, and if you take, I don't mind. G takes is actually kind of nice because it kicks the knight away. Yeah, I don't mind that at all. Now this knight has to find a new home. And if you take on c6, okay, I didn't expect that. I guess I might be losing the f6 pawn, so that's kind of annoying. At the same time, though, I don't know, I feel like this is okay for black. Down a pawn for the time being. So what's white going to do here? I guess it's risky now to play for like the e5 break, though, because that really starts exposing the king. It's probably not great that we lost a pawn like that. Should have seen white's idea there. Down to 45 seconds. Might have to speed up a little bit. Having the two bishops here is nice, though. I think it's definitely better than the two knights. So if e5 next and you take and we take with the bishop, that attacks the knight, it attacks b2, and if you don't take, then we can think about taking on d4, we can think about pushing to e4 and grabbing more space. So e5 might actually be appealing even though our king is kind of open here. Looks like white's having a long think. Yeah, rook e1 makes sense, trying to stop that idea. Now bishop c2 maybe? Maybe rook b8 first? Rook b8, kind of pinning that knight for the time being. Now if you go for knight a5 or something, we can think about taking and then taking on b2. I know we lose c6 though. Okay, you're stopping kind of all our ideas there. Okay, I just have to kind of speed up and play on instinct, I think. Down to 30 seconds. Gotta do something. So if you move the rook to d2, I probably don't want to play bishop b5. This bishop has to stay here and help guard the king, is my feeling. Maybe bishop c2 could have been considered still, though. This knight's really annoying. I can't play rook e8 or anything to go for one of these pawn breaks. But it's probably going to come down to some kind of time scramble here. We're both under a minute at this point. Okay, rook e1. I don't really want to trade queens, do I? I don't think so. Let's attack the knight. Okay. Maybe you want to come to e5? I guess we can allow it. That probably wasn't a great reaction. I don't know what I'm doing here, just playing on instinct. Okay. This probably isn't great for us. I'm just thinking we can double and play a5, a4 or something, try to get some activity on the b file. This bishop really locks down all of white's play here pretty well. Okay, white just goes for some activity. Okay, I guess you can take here, but then we're going to take and take. If you play knight e7, we can come to the b file. I guess we'll take back with the king on g6. Yeah. Take back with the king. We have some very active rooks. Down a pawn, but this pawn's hanging. We can double on the second. White does have a passed pawn, though, so we have this very interesting rook in game. But I like our rooks a lot better than white's rooks, that's for sure. Okay, white wants to do that, but that's very risky, because now rook b2, and how do you defend g2? So I know you can, like, you can bust open our pawns here a bit, but we're going to double on your second rank. Okay, I guess you stopped us for the time being. But now we can defend our pawns. So takes, check, behind the pawn. Maybe that wasn't best because you just have king e3. But then f4. Yeah, get rid of our double pawn for your strong d4 pawn. Check. You're going to play here. Yeah, and now we have to watch out for this guy. Can we threaten to push ourselves? I think your pawn's better than ours, but, okay. Oh no, now you have rook c2. I was going to try to deflect the king away, and then, okay, I think that might be wrong. That gives us a chance. Yeah, because now we're going to push. No, that wasn't right. That wasn't right. No. I think we're lost here. Didn't handle that right. And I probably should have taken my time a little bit more. I forgot there's this 2-second increment. We actually have time to not just go ahead and rush. But now we're just lost. I think we could have played that quite a bit better. And it's over. Yeah, let's look at that endgame. I think there were some interesting tries there for black. So my feeling is this shouldn't be lost right here. Right? This looks okay. And now c6. So is this lost for black, or do we have some options here? Maybe this is lost for us, but let's see. So d4, c7. Now we have to play here. You defend the pawn. And what if instead of d3, d3 is just a blunder, of course, that's horrible. But what if we play king f5? King f5, threatening d3 followed by king e4, and now our king supports our passed pawn. I think that might be okay for black. Let's actually pull that up in the analysis board and just check our analysis there. I'm just curious about the end there. So, let's see. So this position right here, let's actually check this. So if we play d3, what does black play? Oh no, it always does that to you. Sorry, here, if we play king f5, what does white play here? Like, if you just defend the pawn, we're just going to march up, and we're going to sack the rook for your pawn, and you're probably going to have to sack the rook for our pawn eventually. And we have an outside passed pawn. The king might scoop it up at some point, but, I don't know, it can move 2 squares. Let's actually see what the computer says here. Okay, rook e5, interesting. And now... rooks, yeah, the common transfer idea there, where we let the rook come in with check and then cut off our rook. So I guess king f5 doesn't work either, huh? So it actually says d3 is our best shot, but it just seems lost to me, right? Unless I'm missing something. So rook d2, and what am I missing here? I don't think I'm missing something, so king f5, well, it doesn't like that. Oh, I see, it wants rook c3 defending the pawn, but then doesn't king d7 just win here for white? So king f5. Oh, I see, but now our king has time to get in. I missed that idea too. Now, if we have to sack for the queen, we come in. And we have king e3 next. Very interesting. I totally missed this idea that we could buy time for our king. We can play rook c3, keep the rook there for just 1 turn, basically, just to buy our king enough time to defend the pawn and then sack for the pawn. Very interesting idea. Totally missed that in the heat of the moment. Alright, thanks for watching, everyone, and please make sure you visit chesspathways.com and get signed up there. It's totally free, only takes 5 seconds, and I will send you a free move-by-move guide to chess thinking when you sign up. It took me way too long to become a chess master, and I want to help you do it in a fraction of the time. Thanks, and I will see you there.